requirement. And you're seeing the online schools shaking in their shoes as they take a look at this and say, oh my gosh, now we have to have some kind of responsibility for giving people skills and education that would lead to them getting jobs. That's not what we signed up for. And so with the gainful employment standards showing up, we're seeing more of an emphasis on a national level for education to careers than ever before. And so Lisa and her progressive work in making that connection is really helping. It was really being out in front of it before it all showed up. The other thing is we work with the National Association of Workforce Boards, and when we were down there at their national conference, we had a great opportunity to go behind the scenes and to engage in some dialogue with what was going on in Capitol Hill. And y'all are feeling the effects of that, but the challenge of cutting funding and establishing the worth of workforce boards is really scary. Behind the scenes, when the Republican administration, Congress, is coming up there and saying, we don't believe you get people jobs, and you're bringing forward the Wagner-Pfizer stats and saying, no, look, we do. These are DOL stats, and we can show you what our performance is. And they're saying, yeah, but you can't prove that you're getting people jobs. Because how do we know that if you didn't exist and they just went to monster.com, they would just get jobs anyways? So that kind of rhetoric is really scary, because what it means is they're going to ignore any of the facts. And in fact, they're going to throw out any facts that are the rules you play by. So it's not who moved the cheese, who changed the rules for how you make cheese in the first place, right? That's not cheese, it's something else, right? That kind of thing. So one of the key messages that has to go out is you have to focus on establishing your credibility that you deserve funding, you need funding. You can't rely on the old rules of the game. You can't rely on those stats and saying those are what our performance metrics are. So one of the tactics that we're advocating for workforce boards out there is to get your employers to go and for them to say how valuable your services are for them. Because Republican administration, they will support whatever business says, whatever business wants. And so you need to get new people who are advocating for you. You need new success stories. And they can't be anecdotal success stories. They can't be, oh, so-and-so got a job, or we got these people a job. You know, feel-good stories are good. But what you need to do is you need to be able to speak the language. You need to be able to create the word that is going to be something that's going to be valued by the administration that's there. You're under attack right now. You're under siege. We all are, and we're trying to find ways so we can make sure that we can continue to deliver and advance the work that we're doing and the help that we're delivering. That said, I promised you I was going to stop talking. I'm going to stop talking. So, comment, questions?
Actually, I'd like to say something about that. Sue Parsons from the Statewide Workforce Solutions Group. We actually, I brought this up at a statewide meeting, I think last week, that Secretary Goldstein held. We tried for 3 weeks to get Scott Brown to meet with us, a coalition of employers, adult educators, applicants, candidates who've gone through trainings. We have met with the staff many times. We cannot get the senator to meet with us to hear from the employers. So I feel like we really have to ramp up. I think he is good at picking and choosing the employers in regions of the state that he will listen to. And we really need to keep challenging that. You know, we get close because we get higher and higher up this chain of staff command, but we don't get to the man himself. So I think we have to do some really very important advocacy.
So one of the things, Sue, we can talk about this afterwards, is if this way the monster can help with that, because of course we have fantastic congressional relations, and there may be a way that we could help be a catalyst for that. Because Massachusetts is an important employer here, and Scott Brown recognizes that. So
I feel like we may have our problems. We have our success stories. We have many employers who will come and talk about the state's one-stop career system and how it has effectively worked for them. We've got great people who have gone through programs who can talk very articulately about what's done for them and their family and their career. So I feel like we can put together the dog and pony show and be very effective with it if we can get it before.
You know, and again, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm not surprised, because one of the things we found, we were going behind the closed sessions, when the new congressional staff came in and they talked to them about, if you eliminated all discretionary funding, it would have zero impact on the budget deficit. They were shocked to learn that. They're like, wow, we didn't know this at all. And the other part of it is the ability to ignore any kind of facts or rules, and that kind of stuff. And so, it's consistent with the message that we got in the National Association of Workforce Boards, but it is good that you are taking the effort, because one of the biggest challenges is that the workforce boards across the country, they're not mobilized because they're not activists per se. And, you look at what happened since the 1970s, how they're dismantled and how they're disarrayed and all that kind of stuff. Now they're getting thrown with the greatest challenges in a generation and say, okay, now do everything. And at the same time, you now have to become advocates and activists on Capitol Hill. It's crazy. I mean, it's a lot to ask. So I'm glad to see you're able to do that. If there's ways we can combine efforts to do that, that would be great. Now, what we're going to do is, I know we've been sitting for a long time, and I promise this was your time, not my time, not Monster's time, not Lisa's time. It's our time. So we're going to take a little break, so that if you want to go to use the facilities, you can. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do roundtable discussion. Actually, there's no table, right? Okay, round chairs discussion. Oh, okay, that's good. So what we're going to do is 5-minute break, then workforce development people sit there. Job seekers, support groups, and others sit there. You decide which group you want to be in. So if you have a job seeker support group and you really want to talk about workforce development issues, you can sit in that group. And if you don't know which, pick one, because both of them will be interesting. So in the back, workforce development, job seeker support, 2 different discussions, and then we're going to report back. A 5-minute break, and then join the circles. We'll have facilitators there. Thank you, everyone.